Okay, I'll call the meeting to order and ask that we please rise to the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We just returned from executive session. I'm going to ask Dawn Hedberg to read our school mission statement.
We want our students to cherish our small island community while applying and expanding learning about, understanding of, and engagement with the wider world. To do this, they must be ethical and moral individuals, respectful and responsible communicators, creative and analytical thinkers, knowledgeable and literate readers, writers, mathematicians, and scientists, participants in and audiences for art, drama, music, athletics, and other artistic, cultural, and social activities, skilled and successful workers and consumers, committed and active citizens.
Thank you, Dawn. Before we get underway, I just want to take a quick moment and say this is Debbie Vecchio's very last official school board meeting, and she is retiring. We really dragged you right to the end, Debbie. We wanted more of Debbie, so we had 5 or 6 or 7 more meetings, but really, we just couldn't have done so many things without you. You wear a zillion hats. You're a dear friend. We love you to death, and we can't wait to party on the beach with you. And wish you nothing but the best, and Frank, as you retire and enjoy all those beautiful babies.
Thank you. Thank you so much again, everybody. I'll be in touch.
Okay, so item 5 is our public hearing. So we will now conduct a public hearing on the 2026 adopted budget. I therefore declare this hearing open at 6:02 p.m. If there are no objections from my fellow board members, I would offer the floor to Brian Dolger, Superintendent of Schools, who will deliver a brief presentation on the budget that will go before the voters on June 17, 2025 at 12 p.m. to 9 p.m. in the school conference room. It's in the conference room this round. So Dr. Dolger, thank you.
Thanks, Kathy. So this is our third Revote presentation and hearing, and actually our 9th meeting on the school district budget, going all the way back to January. So I think we've set a record for budget meetings this year. But we just wanted to start with our accomplishments that we've had as a district over the past couple of years. This past year, 2024, our U.S. News & World Report has ranked us one of the top 18% high schools nationally, and also in the top 15% niche.com for best college prep, mainly because of our AP scores and some of the statistics I'll read you later. We have received an AP Platinum designation. We're one of the few districts in New York State to do this, and only 7% of districts in 2025, and I'm going to come back to that in a second, a little more on that. We've showed continuous growth in state exams in ELA and math on the elementary level. We've demonstrated outstanding results, beating our New York State counterparts on our Regents exams. We continue to increase college level courses, providing more opportunities for our students to earn college credits while in school, also saving money. We now offer up to 13 classes. Some of our students are graduating with a year and a half worth of college and are graduating college in 2.5 years, which is great for our students, but also saves the parents a lot of money. We're also in the middle of implementing an innovative ELA math and science curriculum. We're in year 3 of that. We're in year 2 of our strategic plan rollout to help shape our future of education and elevate our student success. Just to point this out, our AP Platinum designation, we're the only public school in Suffolk County to receive Platinum designation by AP, which is Advanced Placement, which is a legit organization, and only 17 on Long Island. And if you see the other public schools, it's a pretty good list of schools to be with: Garden City, Great Neck, Carrick, Jericho, etc. on those schools. And again, we're the only public high school in Suffolk County to do that. to get the platinum designation. And that's because and I'm going to do a graduation report later, a lot of our kids take the tests, a lot of our kids pass the tests, and a lot of our kids get the college credits for the tests. So rolling into our budget, as you know, we proposed an original budget increase of about 6.8% or 6.9%. In order to, we had several choices that we discussed at last board meeting. We did have to get our tax levy down to 2.13% in order to stay tax cap compliant, which only requires a simple majority vote with our taxpayers. So we obviously had to make some changes, which we discussed at the last couple of Revote meetings. So our Board of Ed portion of the budget, we proposed a new 3.64% decrease. Central and Business Admin, 6.37% decrease. Our facilities, a 4.62% decrease. Our insurance and BOCES, 7% increase. Our academic and instruction, that's our general teachers there, a 1.33% increase. Special ed and other instruction, an 8.14% increase. As you know, part of the driving of this budget was there was a couple of high-need special ed students that needed placements that cost us some money. We're able to decrease the clubs and athletic budget by 7.6%, transportation by 15.68%, benefits by increased by 3.79%. That's our health insurance, contractual increases and whatnot. Debt service we were able to decrease by almost 50%, and transfer to other funds was an increase of 36%. That is due to the cafeteria. We had an employee that was reassigned, so is now is on the payroll, but used to not be on the payroll. So that's the increase there, but it's just a transfer from another line. Total is the 1.55% budget to budget increase from last year to this year is what we are proposing. What does that mean? So the number of the taxpayers we focus on there is the property tax cap in the blue there, $11.742 million. That's a raise of $245,000 over the prior year. That's a 2.13% increase, which is tax cap compliant now. State aid, we saw a little bit of a raise there, 2% raise. Reserves, we're staying about equal there. Interest income, we're projecting a little bit more there next year. And our AFB, our appropriated fund balance, that is now down to $495,000. You can see in that blue box on the bottom. The lower that number is, the more financially stable the district is. When I started 6 years ago, that number was about $800,000. We've taken it down each year. That's the amount of money you have to underspend a budget one year to make up the next year. So the higher that number is, the more you have to make up. So the lower that number is, obviously, the better for the district. And again, that's our budget to budget increase. The property tax cap is compliant, and as it points out, it continues to lower our AFB. So what's at stake on June 17th? Under New York State law, the voters are given 2 opportunities to approve a budget. After 2 failures, the law requires the district to move to contingency. So, as you know, not everyone was here last time, but last time we had the choice. You could put the same budget out again, that's over the tax cap, but you would then again risk not gaining the supermajority of the vote, the 60% of the vote. And if that goes down, you go down to contingency budget. So the administration and the board made the decision to get that within the tax cap, which only requires a simple majority. The contingency budget, if the budget on Tuesday goes down, a contingency budget carries a tax levy increase of 0% over the current year. So essentially, we have the same tax levy next year that we have this year. And that's with all of the insurance increases, that's with the contractual increases. So obviously when all of that is increasing and your revenue is not, you have to make further critical cuts. It also prohibits the purchase of any new equipment. It prohibits the use of school by community groups unless that group carries 100% of the cost. So no outside, under the law, no outside communities are allowed to use the building unless they paid for everything while they were here. A contingency budget obviously has long-term financial implications for our district that would carry to future years. future levies will continue to be misaligned with future expenses. It's exponential, the budgets you have over the years. It's not just you feel it next year, you feel it exponentially the year after that, and the year after that, and the year after that. In a contingency budget, more programs would have to be cut, and students would be negatively impacted. Our Wall Street ratings could be downgraded, which would negatively impact us being able to borrow money.
Brian.
Yes.
I just want
Sorry.
this to be really clear that this is, the contingency budget happens if the proposed budget fails a second time.
Correct.
Just
Next
Yeah.
clear. Yes.
Correct, yeah. If this failed again on Tuesday, yes, the contingency budget, yes, this is the scenario of that, the devastating scenario of that. Yes, thanks, Keith. Sorry. So what would be cut in the contingency budget? We'd have to cut an additional $244,000 out of the budget. Or in other terms, we'd have to cut $46,000 from this year's budget while still meeting all the as I was saying before, all the contractual obligations to employees, their insurance, the utilities we have here, BOCES, and all other entities. There would have no choice but to cut large programs, potentially including athletics, clubs, activities, and electives if the budget that's proposed goes down and the contingency budget goes into effect. That's heavy and a lot. And we're hoping that that's not going to happen. But for next time, this is the last meeting on the budget. The next time is Tuesday. Everyone is voting on it. We obviously ask for everyone's support on that. As Kathy mentioned, the budget vote is in here from 12 to 9 p.m. Absentee ballots can be gotten from Mrs. Dunning. You can download the ballot application by visiting our website and clicking on for public use. And the ballots must be received by June 11th if the ballot is to be mailed. An absentee ballot is going to be picked up in person until the 16th and must be received to Jackie by 5 p.m. on the 17th. That's what I have, everyone.
Thank you, Dr. Belcher. So the Board of Education will open the floor to public comments, but before that, are there any members of the Board of Education who have questions or wish to make a comment?
I have a question. The use of the building by outside community groups, what kind of community groups use it now, and how would that impact?
So we have various sports leagues that use the gym. We have the community use the Fit Center here. Quite often, groups will use our auditorium for different things. So essentially anything that our building is used to house anything non-school child related would have to.
So the Fit Center to outside people would not be available?
Unless they fully fund, we subsidize that Fit Center there. So unless that was fully funded by the town, yes, that is correct, yes.
So craft fair to anything outside?
Snapper Derby.
I would say
Yes.
Snapper
Snapper
Derby.
is not held. And all of the things that we.
Is not held here?
No.
I thought it was on the property.
No,
Oh, is it across the street?
Yeah.
But things like that,
All of the
apologies,
things
things
that
like
lead up to the
that.
election too
Yeah.
would be,
Pardon?
like the election, the meet the candidates, the debates, all of that would go as well, yeah.
Would that be like the Bucks and anything that uses our fields as well?
They would have to pay to use it.
It's 100% pay,
Right.
because we can't incur any costs.
Thanks.
Any other comments from the board, questions? Anthony?
Dr. Dolger?
Yes.
When the administration was looking to make cuts to come under the tax cap, what was your goal in that?
Essentially, Anthony, to really cut things that affect people the least. So any frills or anything, any conferences, any travel, anything like that, gone. Anything that had no effect on any people really, kids, adults, students, were totally gone. And then we went to things that would hopefully were the newest or affected the least people.
Any other? Okay. Are there any comments from the public that they wish to make at this time?
Okay.
Okay. Hi. Hi. And if you don't mind saying your name, just for the reporters.
Yes,
here.
Elizabeth Galley. I live here on Tulsa Island, and I understand that there's a large cut to the public education for preschool, and I feel that really hurts our young community. And I would really like to see, I don't know if we're past any of this because it looks like we have to vote in a week, to have a reconsideration of that particular part of this budget, because I really do believe this hurts our workforce and our young families. And it doesn't seem to make sense to me to decrease the number of students that you service based on your budget. You have a very small group of students that you service, and to take that group away just makes it look like there's more administration than there are children. And I'd like you to really reconsider that.
Okay, thank you. We couldn't agree more, and it's crushing to have to do it. Last week we discussed this very thing, and the week before. Unfortunately, this budget has been adopted. The adoption was last week. Today is the public hearing. This all had to happen within a time frame which was deemed by New York State. It was, they started looking at it in the middle of the night. Last week I was saying to Lorene Solani, who's here, and spoke beautifully about the program. It's something I fought for starting 12 years ago. Brett Zereris is here. He was on the board of this pre-K across the street. Maybe back then yelling at me to don't take my 3-year-olds because he was trying to keep a full-day program. There have been people in this community. What's that?
100%. We take our
100%.
enrollment dollars.
Yes, but we, as a community, there have been so many people trying to get a program, keep a program, extend a program, and I would be lying if I didn't say I've been doing it for 12 years. And so this is particularly crushing for me, and I hope, beyond hope, that it will come back. Last week too, not Lorene, I just looked at you and said your name. Liz Hanley was here, who was very passionate about it, and since last week, she and I have connected with, I'm going to leave someone out, but the town supervisor, the Lions Club, the Ed Foundation, all of the leaders of our church organizations, myself, Brian, probably grab a couple of board members, no more than 3. And other community leaders to have a meeting on, I think we're meeting June 23rd tentatively, to put our heads together. Oh, Liz Eklund, who's on the board across the street, because for many, many years we've asked the town and not been able, and they have their own financial woes, to get any help, because everyone needs childcare, everyone needs daycare. They need it even earlier than 3 years old. Most people don't have the luxury of staying home all day with a child, and we know early education is primary. So that group is going to meet and hopefully figure out ways. Mrs. Dunning and Brian have been investigating how we could take money to potentially float it for a year, or how someone could take money and donate it back into the pre-K. Maybe somebody could offer a space for the pre-K across the street to take place. As many big heads that want to take a look at this, I'm available and willing to chat with people, and looking forward to this meeting. Oh, the other person is Nancy Green, who I met with today, and Bonnie, maybe Mary knows her name.
Yes, Brett.
Yeah, maybe. 2 wonderful ladies who have taken over the wellness committee, who are interviewing a variety of people in town at all levels to figure out, really how they put it was, what do people need and how do we get it for them? And they are both brilliant and lovely, and they'll be at that meeting as well, so I'm hoping that that's the case. Regarding administrative costs, if you were here last week, I pointed out that we have 3 administrators, the closest school to us with another we have a $13 million budget, they have a $26 million budget, they have 5+ administrators. Our administrators each do 3 or 4 or 5 jobs. Dr. Dolger, when our business official left, every school has a business official, that person was making $120,000 a year plus benefits, and would be making upwards of probably $150,000 now, and he got his school business official certification, and took over an entire full-time job. He is a superintendent and a principal We need a director of pupil personnel, we need a director of athletics, we need a superintendent, not even
As
need,
deemed by
these are
New York State.
mandated by New York State. It's not, I know many people like to say the old days of having one administrator, and we did a lot of things in the old days, and we're not allowed to do those, nor do I think it's a good idea. And, you know, leading off with all of our accolades, I'm very, very proud of that. I've been on the board for 10 years. I've seen us exponentially grow in every area, so what it looks like and what it feels like are two very different things, and I'm 100% with you on wanting that piece. I want it all day for all kids, so anything I can do to help manifest that. And Liz is a friend, and we've already texted about it and talked about it, so hopefully something will come of that.
I have 2 questions about that. So one, the meeting, the brainstorm.
Can I wait 1 second just to ask, it's just a script. Does anyone else have a comment from the room? I just have to do it in that order, I'm afraid.
I have a question.
Yes, Lily Potter.
So as a student athlete here at the school, I've heard that winter track has become a club and is no longer a school sport. And you said if this budget does not get passed and other plan happens, it could mean cutting other sports and school activities. What kind of sports do you personally think would go down first, and how would that affect our students?
That is such a big and tragic question, and I hate that you have to ask it, and I'm so glad that you're paying such close attention that you know to ask it. My answer is I don't know, and
I think we'd have to look at it. We'd have to look at it seriously. And,
Yeah.
and
Again, I would think what would affect the least amount of athletes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
thank you. Any other comments before I move to part 3? Okay, thank you, everyone. Do my colleagues on the Board of Education have anything that they would like to add?
So I just wanted to clarify about the brainstorming session. I think it's a really great idea, but I wanted to know if that was going to be a public meeting too, where the public would be able to comment and input and share ideas.
I think at this point it would be a brainstorming session for people who might be able to contribute either space or money or ideas for how to program it. And then I'm not sure how it would open up. Because it could be open up to a forum next time around.
I'm just wondering how, did you determine how many students were projected to be enrolled in preschool, in pre-K3 next year?
I believe it was. I'm sorry, Jen's not here, but I think it was 6 students that were projected.
And also from just investigating, you know, the cost of the program here at the school is exponentially greater than the cost would be in a different location because we're a state school. So there are all kinds of mandates around that and what needs to happen and what we need to have in place. Whereas perhaps if it were to be financed in another place, but again, maybe we'll figure that out when we put bigger heads than mine together. And Liz, you can share a lot, I'm sure, when we do that. Molly Kendall.
I've been combing through past meeting notes because I've only been coming to these meetings this school year. I was in Dr. Dolger's office many, many times over the 4 years we've been here. And I wanted to be more involved because I didn't understand what was going on. And this being the first school budget that I've taken note of and the first year that I've been to meetings, I think I don't know what to do about it, and I'm certainly not throwing criticism at either side. There's a huge communication gap between the community and the school board and the administrators. And for a while, I was trying to fill that gap to educate myself on the Shelter Island Facebook groups, and I got so sad. I've been trying to be educated. I've been trying to show up. What I saw one of the Revote meetings was a YouTube video where Kate was crying because so few people had attended. I wanted to attend, but I didn't even know that it was happening until after it happened. And
Yeah, that was a quick, I think that was a quick one because they all get posted, but they were like, you have 5 minutes to do this and 5 minutes, so that one probably was harder to see.
There's not a good way to look to see, even when you want to. And then I hear what people are saying, and I'm like, oh, that's a good question. I want to research what they're talking about. The number of administrators, the salaries, how many kids come to the school, and I'm like combing through documents. I was up to 2018, where Julie wrote an article saying no one questions $11.7 million school budget. And I was like, 11.7 back in 2018 is not so far from 13 something that you proposed this many years later. And I realized there's like, instead of looking to COVID or right before COVID, if you look towards 2018, so much connects to today that Shelter Islanders, I wasn't here, but from what I can see is they were totally willing to accept and pay for it and be excited about. There was a New York Times article in the same year about Shelter Island, and it was wild to read it from 2018 about, we bought a house for $775,000 and our kids go to school and it's like a private school and blah, 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 blah. And meanwhile, that same house just sold for 1.7 in such a short amount of time. And I think if people are willing to spend virtually the same amount, like if you look at the percentages and rate of inflation, what you asked for and were denied this year is virtually the same budget that you were seeing in 2018. That's not accounting for the cost and stuff, that's just how much the dollar value is. I mean, I have the paperwork here, and I'm probably wrong, because I was just trying to comb through it. But I feel like a lot of the community's concerns, they sound valid to me. And maybe if they had clearer answers, like, because if you look really hard, the numbers are there. It's really, really hard to find, even for someone who's really interested.
Yeah. Melanie, so for over the last 6 years, our budget has only increased 9% total. So it's 1.5% per year over the last 6 years.
Yeah, there's a year, not even COVID, that was like 0%.
And
And then you look at the vote totals, and people have voted more for the propositions than for the school budget. Like, there's more total votes, but it's always when it affects your wallet. And it's like, maybe if there's an explanation, because one of the first meetings that I attended as an audience member, literally a mom of a private school kid was angry about the busing situation. I'm not saying she didn't have a right to or not, but she said the words, it's only $30,000. And it struck me because I was like, only $30,000, holy cats. And the reason it really stuck is because the last budget meeting, someone else said about pre-K, well, if we only had $30,000, I'm like, God, if those two moms could just connect and compromise, or everyone knew a little bit more. I don't have a suggestion. I'm very unpracticed. I'm very nervous saying this because I realize I'm probably the newest person on Shelter Island, but it really is very magical. And I feel for everybody here. And I haven't been sworn in yet, so
So Molly, as some of you may know, is our trustee-elect, and I really appreciate the full deep dive that you did. And the information is here, and we're always here to offer it, and everyone here is very accessible. And the outreach, there are districts where you can't get within 20 feet of a superintendent of schools, and ours greets and says goodbye in the afternoon, front and back. So we welcome people to come. Julie writes a very comprehensive piece in the paper. We certainly make mistakes, and we're fine with you telling us about them. I really appreciate you. I want to highlight too that in 2020 we had a 0% budget increase, keeping the community in mind because it was a pandemic and people were suffering. I couldn't work for 9 months, like was what I did it for a living at the time, and that was a big deal to not increase our budget, so that falls in that category too.
Yeah, I don't have to step out because Piper's going to pitch, but I want to say thank you to everybody up there. Not an easy job, especially when people are just throwing stones at you. I respect everybody who showed up today, voicing for or against. I just want to say it is so difficult to make these decisions that I respect and trust that you were voted in these positions and made these decisions to the best of your abilities. And I know that because I know every single one of you out there. Just say I appreciate it. Love you all. Thank you.
Thank
For
you.
your time.
Good luck to Piper.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
If Molly, to follow up on that too,
Yeah.
to put things into perspective, over the last 6 years, as our budget has increased 9% total over 6 years, I think the town budget is up over 40% during that same time. Like, we share the same increases in insurance. We share, we share all that same stuff. So, and to point out what Kathy said, there's a school district on this South Fork who is almost identical in numbers, of about 200 kids. They are pre-K to 12, which is unique to be a small school like us and to be pre-K through 12. And as Kathy said, our budget is about 13 point something million. Theirs is 24, 25
$26
million dollars. We have higher academic results than them. We have more AP courses. So we do, as we point out in the beginning, we put out a pretty good product. And we've tried to stay as financially sound as possible over the past many years. And we sort of sorted this even at the end of last year. We started talking about, hey, this next, after the last budget passed in last May, we started saying this is going to be a tough budget next year. And then we were hit with some special education costs that we have no choice. A student or two could cost $100,000 just for the education, plus transportation of $50,000 to $60,000 for one student. And it's our obligation and our duty to educate those kids. But when you're a large school district of $300 million, that's a lot easier to absorb than when your budget is $12 to $13 million.
When I asked Dr. Dolger a question before about what was his goal, what the administrator's goal when they started to make cuts, I just wanted everyone to know that the goal of the board and the goal of the administration was not to cut pre-K3 first, was not to cut student programs such as athletics. We started way beyond that, started by cutting materials and supplies, then by cutting conference and travel. And, there's multiple people involved in that decision, including, the teacher union. Like, a lot of people were involved and took it very serious and realized the impact. And my hope is that by getting us under this tax cap, we're able to move forward and prevent further cuts and get back to where we were. So we hear what you're saying when you come out here. We understand there's a need for it. Same thing could affect me in a year or two. I have a young child. We feel you. We want to get back to where we were. But this is probably our best path forward, making this decision, working with outside groups to try and fill the void or the gap until we get back to where we were. But we don't want to we don't want to lose any more programs. So.
Or teachers.
Exactly.
Or teachers. I feel like we're leaving that part out. We lost a whole teacher. So that's important as well.
Of course.
I guess, how do we ensure that it becomes a consideration for next year to go forward? Like, a lot of us are just entering the school system, right? If we have a pre-K3, that's our first child entering the school. This is kind of like our first taste of what's happening. I think it's a shame that a lot of us missed the meeting last week because we didn't know something like this was on the chopping block. This is something we were all kind of hoping for and quite honestly counting on as we plan for next year. So it's like, this is our segue into the school. It's like, how can we make sure some of us still plan to have more children? How can we make sure that this is still considered for next year or the year following?
And that we're aware of
What's going on.
Yeah. I don't feel like there's a lot of community outreach. I didn't really know about anything that was happening. And maybe we need to be a little more active, but I don't know where to find that information besides talking to Katie.
Yeah, like, you don't have a child in the school yet. So like,
Of course,
to
yeah,
even
it's a
know
terrible
that this
first,
is happening,
yeah.
we want to even, I'm not involved at all because quite honestly, I haven't had a child in the school, so.
Right. And the budget we put up, had that budget passed, we would probably, we felt in our projection that we would have been set for the next 8 to 10 years, which would have put anybody who's 3 right
that's
now
really
all the way deep into elementary school. And the budget was voted down. And that was absolutely devastating. And we were shocked ourselves, quite frankly. There was more of a turnout to vote this round than has ever voted in the history of Shelter Island. As far as outreach, we do what we do as a school. We post, everything is on the website, everything is available through the school. The paper works in coordination with us. We had somebody really minimally working some PR for us this year because we want the word out there. We have a Facebook presence, we have an Instagram presence, we have events that are open to everyone. Like I'm open to hearing what other ways for outreach. I do a newsletter every year that talks about everything that happens. We paid for our school newspaper.
School too, obviously, that's when the meetings are.
And our school paper is a great
be aware
way.
for the future.
Do you feel like we have a good way of communicating like what's at stake when we have some of these meetings? Like, is that clearly posted? And it's totally great if the answer is yes. An understanding as to knowing like what is going to be discussed at the meeting, what's being talked about, potentially cut.
Yeah, it's posted, so everything is posted, and then once we start budget season, it's a great question, because until you do get involved in a school system, you don't really know, and why would you, But we start, our budget season starts like probably late January, and we usually have, 6 or 7 budget meetings. In between, we have workshops. Everything's open to the public. We have line-by-line budgets, so you'll see exactly what's in there. People come and ask questions occasionally about what's been added or taken away, or hey, we used to have this, can we ever have that? People like to add field trips. We had a group of kids come in last year and pitch for a soccer team, and they pitched really hard and they got a soccer team, and those are like the highlights of our meeting. Mr. Thino's been here any number of times. He's a great field trip chaperone, and you may or may not know, runs Strong Point Thiner Ranch. He brought kids out there, just came back from the senior trip. So there's a ton of information about what to expect as your future children grow up. And believe me, I was in the room 12 years ago as a parent, not even of a little. My daughter came to me when she was 8, so there was no pre-K, and I was pitching a totally different board and administration for free pre-K because it's so incredibly important, and to build community and to keep kids here. So
I think we'd all love to put it back.
We'd love to have it back.
I think it's just understanding of like what it looks like for the future, and if it will be considered or on the line item as we go forward.
And honestly, I think if we had, obviously this year is what it is, but going forward, if we had a group of parents that we could advocate with to put a program like that in, it would be very difficult under another 1.5% increase to put it back, but maybe there would be in the future community support to try to get above that cap again, to try to get the program back. I mean, I think everyone up here would love to do that, I think.
Yeah, I'm in deep fear of saying, but I'm going to say it again because I said it last week, so it's not as scary to say it twice. I am for piercing the cap again because it is untenable to run a school under the New York State 2% tax cap because it does not match inflation. And when there are things that we have to take out, if we pierce, we need 60% of the people in the community to say yes to education. They need to say yes to children. So I would implore people to reach out to the other folks who are like, move the school, we don't need a school, send them off, as if we don't have to pay for them. If you send your kids off, you have to pay another school district. They give you the price, you don't get to vote on anything, you don't get to elect their Board of Education. You pay the tax they say, and then you pay the bus. So it blows me away that people continue to say, send them off island, them, our students, our children. You will pay more money and have zero. If you go to their board meeting, they might not care because they'll be like, you don't vote. You don't vote for me and you don't vote for the budget. We have to pay, we might have 185, we might have 200. In COVID, we had 260 something. We might go down to 150. We're still required to have the same things as any other school. And in my opinion, education on this island is the most important thing. I want all your kids to be here. I want them all to be here when they're 3. How many are you going to have? I'm trying to answer that. None of my business. We'll talk after.
We've got Clark and Ryan going to go through that.
I will
add just one thing, just to address your broader question about like communicating things. Honestly, that was one of my issues I had before I was on the board, is like I felt like there was a breakdown in communication between the school and the community. But honestly, what I learned in the 6 years being on board, just experience, is it is absolutely a two-way street, that, you know, the community, and not just if you're a parent, you're a voter and you need to be an educated voter. Like we can literally only do so much to pass a message on, and you have to be an active participant in educating yourself on the issues.
So I have a question about that. Yeah. I know like other schools, the PTSA has like signs, or the unions get involved and do hit the ground running to advocate for budgets and passing budgets.
And cuts specifically.
Right.
What's going to be
and so I didn't know if that is something our school is able to. I don't know where.
We're not aligned, obviously, with the PTSA.
Okay.
We cannot take a position.
So, but
we could inform people, hey, please vote.
Yeah.
But like, we can't say vote. You know.
So could the PTSA
Yes.
potentially put out a sign on my front lawn saying
Sure.
vote yes on the? So it
No,
is
they
no.
can't, because I was on PTSA, and well, when I was on, which was probably.
All right.
This heavy song.
Let it run. That's good.
Good night, everyone.
One second. We need 1 second, and I'm also like, it's so hot, it's so hot, it's so hot. So, no, Lorraine, so when I was on the school, PTSA board, at the time, it couldn't change it because it's a national organization. You cannot take what would be considered in some communities, and I don't think we see that in this community per se, but taking a political side.
Okay.
Choosing something over something else, right?
Okay.
You know, this is the first level of government. We don't get paid, but the next one up is school board, then it's town board. We all follow those rules. They don't follow those rules per se, but when I reached out back then, which was maybe 10 years ago,
right,
was told, no, you can't say vote yes or no, but you can say, please come
Or
out
like,
to vote.
here's what we're voting on, like. Because I feel
they could choose to, you know, anybody can. All you have to do is open the school website, and you can see the line by line, the budget.
Well, as we know, people are.
We want this
They're
information
lazy,
out
right?
there in
So
their
we have
face.
voters that are voting that are misinformed or ill-informed, and they just make things up and then spread that. And don't come to the meeting.
Right.
But so I'm like, well, I know other schools do this. Like, I will have all the flyers on my front yard. Like, if that will help, I just don't know like the legalities or what could and like I don't know what the union can do, or so that was where I was.
I don't know anything
Facebook,
about what
Instagram,
the union
teachers can
do.
post.
Mary, do you know?
No. Teachers can.
I mean, we as
Mary is the former user.
Mary's
union
our former
president.
union president.
Okay. I'm still the building representative for the union. In other school districts, they sometimes will endorse a candidate for the school board or whatever. I've seen signs in other towns where they do that.
Right.
But basically, we don't really have a say. We have a contract and we deal with the contract, and we really, like the PTSA, we couldn't get involved politically with one way or the other how it would go. Because then there'd be people in the community saying, oh yeah, they want the budget to pass because they all want to
Sure.
get paid.
Sure.
Bang, bang, bang. You know,
Right,
like,
not even
there's a
know-
way that
right.
it goes all the way around.
Right.
You know,
In my former district, when I was the union vice president of the district, we did phone banks, and we said, please vote, but we didn't. We weren't
can't say
allowed
for
to
what,
say,
you just say-
weren't allowed.
Just vote.
I remember even a few years ago, I remember bringing up wanting to have like a poster board in the
Right.
gym, like explaining in plain English
Like
what the
wha-
propositions were. 'Cause
Sure.
there was confusion, and even that like is towing the line.
I just didn't
Yeah.
know where we stood on that because.
No, it's really
No,
hard.
it's
It's a
really
great question,
hard.
Yeah.
and it's great to bring up over and over because as new crops of parents come in, we don't know. You know, we don't know until we know.
Thank you.
yeah, it's very difficult, and to reiterate with what Kate said at the last meeting, this is a great opportunity to come to a board meeting, because instead of running into a board member in the IGA and asking a question, at any board meeting, you can ask the whole board any question you want to know about anything. So even if there's an agenda, they will still open it to questions about anybody bringing up anything.
And then it's on the public record.
Correct, and it's on public record again. And most times, it's only Julie and I that are here. There's really not that many people, correct? There's not that many people here, and it's a great... And Molly. Sorry, Molly and Julie. But it's a great place to learn anything that you don't know, especially if you're new, or you have things that you're concerned about that concern your kid, and maybe that we're not aware, or that you can bring to the attention that people can talk about.
Yeah, because we are only allowed to say certain things, like one-on-one. Like, but if you come to a board meeting, we can talk just like we are now. But we're very, I want to say, limited. Sure. In terms of what we can talk about individually.
We can't respond to anything on Facebook or social media.
Like, we're not allowed to, trust me,
Which
I
is
read
very
it all.
difficult.
And trust me, I'm there, but I have to stop, like, I get it.
Yeah.
But we're not allowed to do that. So you guys are, but we are not.
I'm not on.
And what's very unfortunate is the school budget is one of the few things that we can vote on.
Yeah.
Julie was just saying that to me. The town taxes went up, our assessments just went up. There's other things that were on the vote. The ferry just went up. And the only thing that people can say, like, I can't afford anymore, but then it affects kids' education, which really stinks. It stinks.
Yeah, the town budget, and this is no dig at the town, this is every town, they have 5 members. If 3 people go like this, they pass their budget. And we needed 60%. And this is a really dark time. I mean, I couldn't agree with you guys more. It's crushing. And it's embarrassing to me. I feel embarrassed with all of the, when I see when I look around, that a community like this would not pass a school budget. And I think it was just a bad timing, and hopefully we can turn things around moving forward. But you are, what is your name again?
Olivia Ryan.
Olivia Ryan. You're 100% on our radar. I just got reelected. I'm here for 3 more years. And seriously, you're on my radar hard. So I won't say don't worry, because that's placating. I would never do that. Worry. We should all worry. But we're all in it together, And there are people really trying to work on this right now. So maybe good things will come from it.
So, going forward, last meeting, there was a bunch of moms saying, how can we get the money to the schools somehow for pre-K 3?
Yeah.
Did that turn into private conversations, or
that conversation is sparking a group committee meeting. We're sort of forming a little committee with the board of across the street and some town leaders, myself, Brian, maybe a couple of board members, just to start the ball rolling and see what we can do.
So can I ask how much you need?
So it's a great question.
Well,
We're trying to sort out.
I think for next year, what sort of was determined between the people who were talking was that it would be a lot cheaper to run it across the street for next year only. Maybe in the year after, potentially bring it back here if here's the calendar or whatever. But because we're a public school, the program costs approximately $150,000. When you're talking about a teacher's aid, insurance, TRS, ERS, stuff like that. Whereas,
so Liz is mouthing a number to me, and which seems like it's close to that number as well. Not as high, but almost as high. So, let's say upwards of $130,000 could float the year, and we're sorting out ways. If there are, I like to stare right to the camera. $150,000
for a half year program.
Half day.
Just our.
And then next year we could regroup for hopefully.
Liz, do you have insurance and
all of that? In there.
Insurance.
And that's just the 8 to 11 program.
And that is the benefit, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that would be for 6 kids or 20 kids, or
Exactly.
breaking it down
Well,
per
at a certain
student?
age, for public school, Molly, if you go over 13 or 14, at that age, you need a second aid in the room.
Okay.
But yeah, anything under that 13 or 14.
So to take that big number and say, but per student, you're making way too much money is kind of silly when there's only 6 kids. But it's still worth it for those 6 kids. Of
course.
It's still worth it.
Yeah, exactly, Molly. Yeah, yeah.
I think not to potentially beat a dead horse, but like we are very interested in extending the preschool program. It's an amazing program over there, and like there's people that are willing to. We're willing to open our pockets to keep that program going. The 3 more hours that we need it to give us a little more coverage.
Yeah, and it's something that, like, you know, of course, I don't have my board here to talk with me, but it's something that we are investigating and like really trying to, you know, fill that void that I mean we all feel, you know, and making sure that it's accessible to everybody on the island. So we're trying. We're going to do our best and at least, you know, keep something going for the younger kids. You know. We have a lot of good heads coming together, I think. Yeah. We are driven and we will find a way. And I think
mom who's directly impacted by this on that meeting?
What's that?
Do you need a mom who's directly impacted by this?
Yeah, I mean, I think the more, I think like once we get our conversation going and just at least put on the table what we can and can't do, after that, I think it will be important to get as many moms. I mean, I think we'll probably have to hit the pavement a little bit with it, you know, to like get help.
I'm gonna pretend I'm super powerful, and I'm gonna say I could probably invite 2 moms to represent moms to that meeting: Kate Davidson, Olivia Ryan, Allie, whoever, or dads, The moms are in front of me. So don't break that out on me right now. Dad, send anybody you want. Seriously, what, Mr. Thiner?
Just to bring back to the Shelter Island School for a minute.
Yes.
If the pre-K3 program is to return to Shelter Island, we foresee the need to pierce the cap in the future.
Yes.
Correct.
Okay, so my question.
Because it would only pay for a year.
Right.
If they were to do that.
If it goes to the Presbyterian Church, or if it goes to another venue, it's perceived as a private institute.
We're a 501c3, yeah.
Okay, so then are there grants available?
So it's funny that you said that. I was just investigating. We're trying to figure out where we really fall. We had once called the state to find out what our restrictions were, and like we have to be careful about, like, there are very specific, like it needs to be 2 hours and 59 minutes. Right. And then if you go over that, if it's 3 hours, then you have an epic amount of things that you need to have done before you can even operate. So like, we were just spitballing some ideas about like how could we make it 2 hours and 59 minutes, you know, how could we do maybe sessions or like an after school thing, like something that we could be creative with, but we really do have to stay within certain limits so that we don't incur more costs that we absolutely cannot fund. And just like a little history, when we went, it was Amanda Bartolucci and I who like really stepped in, and that school was pretty much done. And we were able to pull it back together, and we have an awesome board now. People jumped on, and we've been really fighting for this school, but we've had to get a lot of donations and just to get to where we are. But we worry about like census-wise, like how many kids are coming up, to be able to promote that school. Like when we talk about fundraising, that's for this year. But like, I don't even know how many kids are coming up. I'm like looking around like a weirdo at people being like, you have a baby? Are you going to have a baby?
You seem to get along well with your spouse.
I was like, where did this child come from? I've never seen this child before. So, I think also, and people get that census thing and they're like, this is trash. Even people on our own board are like, I never filled it out. I'm like, fill it out. We need to know who's here. We need to know who's
That's how the
coming
town
up,
knows
like,
what it needs as well.
and then we can project like what we might be able to do. But I was looking into grants. We just only fall into certain categories because we're not like,
Health and Wellness Committee. They are wonderful.
Yeah.
They're coming. They're in the meeting.
Lions, health and wellness. But I found like just different areas to start exploring, and then maybe private donors, like sponsor a kid, $5,000 a year, sponsor a kid, you know, like that kind of thing, you know?
It's very important.
I just was curious about if there's a need to pierce the cap to bring pre-K3 back to Shelter Island School. Like, when does that conversation happen for all the interested parties here that either benefit from the pre-K3 program or want to see it continue? Like, at what point should
We
parents?
start working on our budget the day after the budget passes, as
June 18th.
anyone in the building knows. We talk about
We
it.
usually do the first thing in January.
In January.
But we
First
meet,
official.
we meet
Yeah.
publicly.
Yeah.
But Dr. Dolger and the rest of the team, well.
I think the thing that just caught me and a lot of community members off guard was that when a budget goes down, there isn't really the time to discuss the contingency or what changes have to be made, and nor would we expect the board to put up a fully listed out contingency budget, like if it will fail, right? It's kind of unreasonable to expect. I know we're under the gun timeline-wise from the state, but just curious for people in the community that really love having, I think as a teacher here, I like seeing the students here at an earlier age, letting parents get a taste of our district and what we can offer.
Yep.
And as a parent who's benefited greatly from having at least me twice for pre-K3, it would be really great to keep that person here in our building. So if that is a potential to come back, like I would agree with you, Kathy, like we should absolutely look at piercing the cap again next year. Hopefully there's not another proposition that's really contentious in the town to go along with that cap piercing and potentially we're successful. But as a taxpayer, I would be very much in favor of the board putting up a pierced cap budget for next year. So,
Thank you. And thank you for your advocacy and everyone's advocacy and passion. I love this place. We all love it. We're thrilled to see it. Kate Davidson.
Is it possible moving forward to say prior to your budget vote, this is what we will lose if this doesn't pass? This is what's at stake, friends. Your 3-year-old
So
won't have school, we will lose
right.
staff,
Well,
schools will be reduced.
The summer school, we know
Summer
is
school.
contingent on the budget.
Like I didn't know, and I do read the budget, the meeting minutes and the meeting agenda prior to the meeting, so I know if there's something specific I want to be here before I come. And it doesn't outline, this is what's at stake. This is what we will have to cut. And I'm sure you don't know that in the moment. Maybe there is a way to say, to encourage people to vote positively.
Kate,
This is
it
what
did
we can
say
lose.
program, you know, I forget the exact wording, but it didn't go specifically into it's a little weird here too, not weird, but different here that like a program's a person too.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So it's like even, you know, with certain employees, we're trying to, in some ways, protect their identity by you know, so.
Right.
But yeah, yes, looking back, could we have said, hey, you know, if this goes down, this is go. Yes, we could have.
But at the same time, like, I have to reiterate what Kathy said, like, we also were honestly flabbergasted that it didn't pass. And we're like, what? And so having to have that meeting afterwards and be like, what are we gonna do?
And the Historical Museum does not, that organization does not go back and revote. Correct.
No,
Correct.
it's only one.
Revote, no, Revote is just us,
It's just
and
a vote.
it's a
Okay.
yes, no on a piece of paper.
Got it.
And it's in this room. And, but
Go on next year.
go on next
They
year.
can go on
Yes.
They could go back on next year, and again, to explain how that works, propositions, if somebody brings a proposition for anything, this is how democracy works. And if they follow the standard and they get the signatures and the signatures are valid, it goes on our budget. It goes on our ballot.
Right.
The wording stated, I'm pretty sure I have it memorized, the Shelter Island School asks for $275-something thousand for the History Center budget. And that's the wording that's handed to us from our legal team. And we went back at them and they were like, no, that's the wording. And that is unfortunate because A, we don't have an opinion about the History Center. We are not here to say vote yes or no. But we're not asking for $275,000 for the Shelter Island School. And there are many people who are on the Facebook pages I don't look at because I have slightly high blood pressure already. That said, it said right there it was for the Shelter Island School, and yet you're cutting this and you're cutting that. So it's deeply confusing, and we were thrilled when people called. People came to the last public hearing and stood up and said, I have a question about Proposition 4, and why does it say this? and we answered it, and it was a full house, and you feel kind of pumped, and it doesn't get out there. And without going door to door, I don't know what else to do. But it could, that proposition could be on there next year. They could be asking for different money. That would be a time when I would say educate yourself, educate your neighbors, and encourage your yes voters, so that one of my favorite students doesn't have to sit in a room and say, which one of my sports are you going to cut? That, don't make me cry in a meeting. It's not professional. That's my VP. But honestly, that's I get it. I understand what you're saying.
I also think that you all, learning from what we've learned in this process, they have every democratic right, as Kathy said, and they would still, next year, doing that as well as any group would. I think we would politely ask them to, hey, please pick another date to put your ballot up there. That's separate from the school budget. So whoever wants to vote on that can vote on that, and whoever wants to vote on the school budget.
Yeah.
Well, they could force us. I don't think they would, but they could. I think that's one thing.
Brian, is
Yes.
it like the library? Can they just choose
Yes.
when to
Yes.
have their vote?
Yes.
And Kate, I want to say one more thing, and to
Amy.
Yes, I'm so sorry. Yes, Brian's right. When you're often saying, "Can you say the things that we could lose if?" But we don't want to sound ever like we're threatening people. If you don't vote yes, you could lose these things. It is there in the presentation, but when it's placed like this, may I use you as an example because you're a man and more grown up and strong. But if I said we're going to cut, what's your math?
Algebra, geometry.
If I said, I personally, I don't love those subjects, but if I were to say, well, if you don't vote yes, we might have to cut algebra, geometry, and trigonometry, that would mean Mr. Theiner. So saying, implying anything that would go is to point out an employee. The one thing Mary's right, this is the only place we can all talk together. Two things we can't talk about, your student by name, or a teacher, or any employee in the building. That's against the law, for us, against municipal law, we can't. So to indicate anything particularly could highlight that person. Yes, Ms. Potter.
As someone who's now currently planning to come to more board meetings, how can I help encourage my students to become more active and wanting to know what's happening at our school?
Are you on the student council?
No.
Okay. We do.
Friday.
So the governor just recently passed a law, and we've always done it here by practice anyway. While there be a student representative on the board, Leo is usually here, but maybe we could have him report out in a more formal way to the student council, who could then report out to you guys, to the general student body a little more proactively.
And students can ask, you can tell your fellow students to ask their parents to vote in the school budget. It's basically it's a big, full-on effect. Thank you for your question. Fine girl. Okay. Where was I? Okay. Everybody good? Hello, Annette. Okay, as a reminder to the public, please remember to vote on June 17, 2025.
No, nothing, sorry.
At 9:01 p.m. on June 17, 2025, we will begin to tabulate the ballots and then announce the results to anyone in the gymnasium, in the school conference room. Yes.
Okay, cool.
The gymnasium will have been set up for all of the graduation festivities that last for a couple of weeks.
We actually have athletic awards, same. Yeah.
Okay, so seeing as no one else wishes to participate, I hereby declare this hearing closed at 7:04 p.m. And what?
Good? We're good?
I do want to say something. I don't know what was said about our little school, but I just want to remind everyone that when we came to the school to open the pre-K3 program, it was because it's not financially, in our town, it's very hard to financially keep a school open when people have to pay such a high tuition in order to cover the cost of running an entire preschool. So when we came to you guys to open that program, it was with the intention that eventually this school would absorb that program and that would go away. Because we just don't have enough people who can pay $500 a month to be going to pre-K 3. So I just want to make sure that everyone understands that the island ebbs and flows on how many children there are, but we don't have the luxury of being able to rely on a low enrollment year, you know? So I do want everyone to understand here that we are also fighting very hard to keep that little program open, and we are in a place where that could go away.
Yep.
So the idea of us being able to facilitate taking the people who have already signed up for the pre-K 3 program is not very realistic if they're unable to pay the tuition.
Some of that was expressed, but
Yes,
not all of
okay.
it.
Yeah.
But so thank you for adding that. And also,
Yeah, because we came, when we came for the pre-K 3 program, it's because we had taken over a board that had no money.
Right.
So we were trying to find different avenues, like maybe we'll get more people if our students are being walked over, and then essentially we're offering a service that is a full day. You know, we thought that was more valuable, that was worth the $500, because now they're dropping off at 8 and they don't have to be responsible for their kids until 2:30. So that was a big part of our program being able to stay open, because we were offering that walk across the street, and it was essentially allowing a mom to work from 8 to 2:30, whereas now we're just 8 to 11, which makes we have to continue charging what we charge, but now our program is essentially less than what we were offering by losing the big school taking the kids as well. So I just want to make sure everyone understands that this isn't the only program that's in jeopardy with this loss. Like, it is jeopardizing our program as well, because I'm sure there's a lot of people coming to us next year that were relying on the 2:30. Now, if they know that we're ending at 11, will they still be coming to us, you know? So.
Are you on the board with Liz?
Yes.
Okay, so will you do?
Yes, I will. Yeah, I'll come to
Okay,
any
good.
meeting. I was at the town meeting, it was at the exact same time. That's why I wasn't here earlier.
Oh. Yeah, good, thank you for adding that, that's a good
Yeah, so I
piece.
just want to make sure everyone knows, like, both programs are very fragile
Yes.
at the moment.
Yeah, we're all connected, the whole island is connected, so it is a community challenge.
But, doing the research, there are programs in surrounding schools in surrounding areas that have pre-K 3. So our sentiment when we came to the board for the pre-K 3 program was, if a family goes off island for pre-K 3, there's a less chance they're coming back for pre-K 4. They don't want to separate their kids from their friends.
That's my driving argument.
If they have a good experience, they're not going to want to come back. So
they make their friends over
it's
there.
going to affect the enrollment for pre-K 4, which it already is next year. There's a lot of people leaving our program that aren't coming to the pre-K 4 here. They're going off island. So it's like we really need to be fighting for those little ones to be in the building as early as possible for them to continue at our school, So anyways, that's my message.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to item 6. Okay, item 6, thank you. Item 6 is visitor questions specific to the district. I did.
Oh, you did?
It's just a public hearing, so last
We don't vote on it?
Oh, sorry. Okay, item 7. is consent agenda. I need a motion to approve and or accept the following agenda items. 7.1. Second. Thank you, Margaret. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Any recusals? Motion carries. Correspondence, we got this post agenda being made. It's a letter of thanks from the Shelter Island Country Club, extending gratitude to all of us, but especially Mr. Galuccio, Mr. Conradi, and Mr. Conradi's technology class. The club approached and asked for some help with new signage, and Mr. Galuccio, along with Mr. Conradi, put together some signs for the Shelter Island Country Club, who is a great partner for us with our golf team. So that was signed from Ms. Linda Springer. Thank you so much. We don't have a student liaison report because he is MIA. So we do have 2 presentations. These are not requiring board approval. The first is the illustrious Mr. Dan Williams and his students, our year in research. Hi, Mr. Williams.
So thank you to the board for letting us present again. In the light of communication of what do we do here, we just like to come and present of what do we do here. So I'll try to keep my remarks quick because you don't want to hear from me, you want to hear from the students who actually do all the work. I just sit there and say, good job. And then I try to look good at the end of it. So what we have year at a glance of building skills within science research. It's a hands-on research program. The students do everything. Again, I just sit back and kind of coach. The idea is that they'll do everything that a scientist does. One of the things I would like to note is that we try to be, in the light of what we're discussing, is very economical within the room. All the Petri dishes are handmade. I make them myself. I'll go through, I autoclave everything, I make sure everything is there. We go, and most of our consumables for, you'll be hearing a lot about PCR reactions, is we run everything through grants that I get from New England Biolabs. So every single year I write these grants to New England Biolabs, I get all of my reagents for free, and the students are able to use those. So we try to be as low cost as possible, but high impact. That's the idea. You don't learn by listening, you learn by playing. And that's what our projects are about. So some of the things that our students are involved in right now that they will not be talking about tonight because they're still doing it is we do some barcoding projects through Cold Spring Harbor Laboratories, and we've had some of the best results we've had in years. The only issue is the sequencing is still out there. So we're hoping the sequencing will be coming back, watch this space, and they're going to have amazing results for you. Especially the information at the bottom, we've tried and failed to barcode lichen around the island. It is a species that will tell us how good our environment is. And we have not been able to do that, and yet these fine young ladies were able to barcode lichen for the first time ever. And I'm very excited to see what results are going to be. Along those ideas is the course basically teaches you failure. The students will tell you the first assignment that I give them is they need to read an article called the Science of Stupidity. Is the idea that you only learn by trying, failing. That's how we learned how to walk. And we didn't stop. Then we start to run. So we had Robert Beckwith, who's not here with us tonight. The graphs that you see there are graphs of work that he was working very hard on, including those little bioreactors over on the side that he built himself. And we were testing mutations within yeast. And the blue lines were the unbelievably fantastic results he got in December, and then it flatlined. And he tried again and tried again and tried again. And then we read the photo and found out the organism we were working with expired 3 years ago because we try to actually reuse a lot of things. Down at the bottom there, Mr. Cronin is going to be presenting his really incredible results, but what he's probably not going to say is that we started this process last year, and we came back in September all hyped up on, here we go, we're going to be published, we're going to do all this, and then it failed. Again, and again, and again. And when did it finally work again? Almost a year after our first presentation within this, and that's a picture of his results, which are primer dimer, which shows that he tried real hard, and it didn't go very well. So some of the students were either presenting other areas or unable to be here, but I wanted to talk about Michael Petula's work with the carnivorous plants that we try to keep year after year and work with reagents that are reusable, in that he's trying to figure out what the heck is in the nectar. And we're looking at this both genomically, and we're looking at this both of the proteins that are out there. These are graphs that he has been spending hours and hours trying to figure out, how do I match this stuff up? It's not necessarily about the results. We can go to a place like B&L and they can tell us like that. It's about the process, it's the learning, it's the struggle of what we do here. So the future is very, very exciting. I proposed a grant, a personal grant, to go in and get a nanopore sequencer. I was lucky enough to go to a conference back in December. I wrote up the grant myself, proposed why we needed something like this, and starting in September, we'll have a nanopore sequencer in here, which is something that this is several $1,000s worth of equipment. Taxpayers don't have to pay a dime. What that's going to do is make people like Michael be able to figure out what's in the carnivorous plants, exactly what genes are being expressed, and not have to send it out for somebody else to do the work. We do it here, we do it on our dime. In other words, we do it for free. And what you'll see is Michael's going to be talking about this, but we were trying to figure out how the nanopore sequencer worked, and I spent a lot of time trying to put all of this together. We also had Quinn Sabahanya came in, and she had a personal interest with something like this, and she's like, I want to know how we could work on something that's going to help or cure breast cancer. And of course, I never say no to anybody. It's the idea of, let's find a way. And sure enough, we found a way working with a worm. Working with Kenatitis elegans, C. elegans, is a worm that has an analogous gene to breast cancer. The breast cancer she was interested in was HER2 positive. Apparently these worms have what's called LAT23. And it's a little weird, but they have actually a physical body part that is expressed with LAT23. So what Quinn went through, and we downloaded some freeware to design a plasmid, which you can see is that big circle in the middle, and she found a way that we could knock out a gene. And if she could knock out that gene, we could change the body part. That is the breast cancer gene in a worm. So she has circled up there, it's the vulva of the worm, and we can see it. That's her picture, where she went and analyzed everything under our microscopes upstairs. So the idea is that next year we will get these plasmids, we'll put them into the food of the worm, and if we can knock it out, what can we do with actual breast cancer? We're not allowed to work on humans, so we have to work on model organisms. And you can see in the lower right the structures of the breast cancer, the LET in blue, and then the HER2 in red. Now I'd like to ask some of my star pupils to get up and to talk about their research in structural biology.
Just breathe.
Let's talk about scleroderma. We did our project on scleroderma, which is very close to our friend's heart. I don't have it, my cousin does. Essentially we split up into 4 groups. So Mikhail's gonna explain her group now.
Well, basically I have the introduction, and scleroderma is a chronic autoimmune disease caused by excessive collagen buildup, leading to the hardening and thickening of the skin and other body tissues.
I modeled zinc finger, 6-HTZ. They bind to DNA and proteins, and so it's hypothesized that 6-HTZ somehow regulates genes involved in collagen production, which is affected by scleroderma. And I highlighted important parts like the cysteines, which are highlighted in pink, and actual zincs, which are in green.
And then on the far right column, I worked with the tankerase and the ligand, and then tankerase works with the zinc finger 6-HCC, and our article, which Henry read, but he's not here, emphasizes that 6-HCC has never been found in nature before. That's pretty cool.
So one of the things that our students would do in the first year is they would find something of interest. I'd never heard of scleroderma. They came to me with this concept. I didn't even know if this was going to work. They came to me with the concept.
They put in all the hard work with it, and where it shows the success of this is we had at least one of the students, who I will not throw under the bus right now, who said, I hate computer work, I hate computer work, I hate computer work, and now next year she is looking to work on insulin with dogs, where we could actually potentially be saving our dogs' lives. So that's where this goes, is we start out with a kernel of an idea. So thank you, ladies.
Yep.
Continuing on, we had the idea of what are we doing with this nanopore sequencer, and Michael was one of the ones who worked hard on that. So Michael.
Hi. So, one of the most important things in science research right now is the ability to sequence DNA out of organisms to be able to read it and see everything that it does. And there has been a new, quite recently, a new method coming up called nanopore sequencing, and that hopefully will be more effective and much cheaper than what we have now. So what we did is we took the actual sequencing results from both Sanger, which is the old way, and nanopore sequencing from the same sample organisms. And we compared those results in a whole bunch of different softwares, and we got some of those graphs you see on the right. And they basically say the the species that it came back with was almost always very similar, but then when we look at the data itself, half of it is just garbage. So we're not entirely sure how the computer managed to match the species so well. And the conclusion what we've come to is that first of all, at least one of the computers was magic, and secondly, one of the sets of data that we were given by Goldman Harbor is potentially completely garbage. It might, some of it is good, and we have communicated that, hey, this works and this doesn't. And we're gonna continue, going back and forth and hopefully letting them improve their own methods for nanopore sequencing. And of course, once we get our own machine out, accelerate this process. That's all I really have to say.
Michael's being nice. Cold Spring Harbor had presented this information and said, oh, we've got this great new stuff. Want to test it? So we're like, okay, we'll see if we could break it. They broke it. And we confused the heck out of some very high-level scientists who thought it was unbreakable. And so we are now contributing to people around the world who are going to be using this. Thanks to them, they're going to be using stuff that will hopefully be fixed. And then finally, we had our test results of the year. Mr. Cronin.
Finally, it's high time. Yeah, so basically, this looks familiar because it's the same poster almost, altered from last year, where I was investigating Lyme disease. It was believed to be a known fact from articles I read that deer couldn't carry Lyme disease, or at least deer couldn't carry the bacteria that caused Lyme disease, Borrelia burgdorferi, because the blood somehow killed the bacteria. So basically what I was doing is I got 30 vials of blood from the deer, from Bo Payne and Sophie Clark. So thanks to them for donating a bunch of blood. And I looked at it, and first it was just simple stuff, seeing are they deer. So these gels were telling me if I had deer and what sex they were. That worked wonderfully. I had deer. Here I was looking for if it was bacteria, if there was bacteria from the Borrelia family, which is a whole family of bacteria that look kind of like that. They're all just basically shaped the same and look kind of the same. And then our thing broke last year, our thermocycler did the PCR reactions that he was talking about earlier, so we couldn't really continue this all that much. This year we got a new one, and it took forever to figure out how to use it correctly, which is why I did a lot of PCR this year with little results. Until this year, only a few weeks ago really, We got results showing that there are, in fact, Borrelia burgdorferi bacteria, the Lyme-causing bacteria, within the blood of the white-tailed deer in North Carolina. The article I read said that they exposed the deer's blood to the Borrelia burgdorferi and they all died. So that's not happening here. Here we can see that these bands just indicate that some of the samples did in fact contain that bacteria. That's basically it.
In conclusion, what I've learned over the last several years is whenever a student comes up with a project that I say that's impossible, that's the ones that are going to be the best. Because again, I said there was no way in heck this was ever going to work. Our program is all about empowering the students. That's our district's, not motto, it's our district's mission statement. It's been a very long day. But the idea of critical thinking, empowering our students, giving them the tools, and then if nothing else, learning that every time they fall down, to get back up, to try again. And I am so proud of these guys. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. It's always an amazing presentation. Your students are wonderful. Okay, quiet in the front row. Readers. Yeah, readers now. Yes, welcome. Many of us do. Okay, our next presentation is our May 2025 Employee of the Month, Nurse Mary Canavogel.
Okay, thank you. Well, I'm going to say, Mary's contributions to the school, the staff, the students goes well beyond anything I could say. Hers will be shut down. I'd still be talking, but I'm going to try to attempt it very briefly. She can always be found helping others, even when it has nothing to do with being a school nurse. We talk about all the different hats that everyone wears, and everyone knows her as Nurse Mary, but nursing is just a small fraction of what she pulls off here every day. Many of our kids and families have benefited due to her generosity and advocacy, and most importantly, she's a positive light in our school. Mary always finds the bright side of things, and always, as I know very well, finds a way to laugh. We laugh quite a bit. A good friend of mine coined the saying that if your presence doesn't make an impact, then your absence will not make a difference. Mary's presence makes an impact every single day in the lives of children that isn't always obvious to the other. There's obviously a great deal of comfort level. When I'm in her office, we're discussing business, at least 15 kids are rolling in, and about 5 of them have something to do with nursing, and the 10 of them just need to see Mary.
That's right.
So that's really, if I would describe her best, and if I were to retitle her, it wouldn't be Nurse Mary anymore, it would be Guardian Angel Mary, because that's what she is to all of us. And I am so proud to present you with the May Employee of the Month. Open it up. We gotta take a nice picture for Julie. I'm gonna get out of the way.
No eye rolling, Mary.
Turn this way, Mary. Turn this way. You're going in the case tomorrow, Mary. But not you. You've been in the case, but your photo's been in the case.
Yes, I have that on my phone.
All right, very good. I'm sure.
Thank you. Okay, so Nurse Mary, you know how I feel about you. I've told you a million times that before I was on the board and I subbed for Mary maybe 3 or 4 times. And it was the most exhausted I've ever been in my life because it's a handful of Band-Aids and distributing aspirin, but it's mostly, where's Nurse Mary? I'm sick today, and they're like, oh. And I'm like, are you okay? You want to talk? Like it was all, can I come in and talk about my feelings? You know this, I've told you that story 1,000 times, but today I called around to a bunch of students and some alumni and a couple of coworkers and just compiled this quick list. I said, please fill in the blank. Nurse Mary is. Don't roll your eyes, because I'll see it. I promise I would. Nurse Mary is kind, sweet, very patient even when 100 people are in her room at once. Nurse Mary is helpful. She's always there for everyone, no matter what. Nurse Mary is good with kids. Nurse Mary is colorful, exclamation point. Nurse Mary is calming. She's someone who helps when you're hurt. Nurse Mary is a queen. Nurse Mary is tireless. She is wonderful. She's someone to look up to. She's selfless. She's caring. She's compassionate. She's always here for our students. Nurse Mary is funny. Nurse Mary is a bright light in a sometimes difficult world. Now I'm going to cry. Nurse Mary is always listening, even when we were a little dramatic. And this student followed that with a thank you. Nurse Mary is like my mom at school and will always listen when I need to talk. She is someone who always lets me complain to her about how much I want to go home. She is someone who is always ready to assist anyone who comes through her door. Nurse Mary is someone I hope knows we appreciate her so much, and these last three are from alumni. Nurse Mary is an icon. Nurse Mary is the MVP of Shelter Island. Nurse Mary is the GOAT. Employee of the everyday.
I get a parking spot now.
Yes, I saw it. You girls better go. I saw it. I was like, thanks for coming.
Thank you.
I'll just follow up Nurse Mary by saying that Nurse Mary is not only school nurse, as you all know, someone that all kids love, but probably one of my closest advisors here at the school. Whether it's a medical thing, obviously, we'll go to Nurse Mary, or probably the biggest decision that I would have to make as superintendent, one of the few people I would ask for their opinion is Nurse Mary, because she has such a good feel for the community here, and really is trusted by everyone, and really is one of my best friends here on a personal level. I would also say that Nurse Mary is never allowed to retire. And we told her that if she tries to retire, we're just going to make her do telehealth. So there'll be a screen in the office there when the kids come in, and she'll be on the screen and just say, get back to her, get back to her, get back to her.
And then after that, it's going to be like Weekend at Bernie's. Thanks for coming.
Can I just say one thing?
Yeah. Sure.
From a parent perspective. This is parent hat, Tracy. My daughter, some of you may know, is super accident prone. And Nurse Mary she will call me and be like, hi Tracy, everything's okay. Like, that's how we start the conversation. And from my, the beginning of starting here, Eliza was pre-K4, she's now in 8th grade. I mean, Nurse Mary has been there, and she's the person that you want when, as a parent, you are not able to be in the school with your child. And when something happens to them, you know that Nurse Mary is there. And for the people that don't have kids yet in the school, you will learn this. She is the GOAT. And I just have to say, it's so comforting to have you in the school, knowing that all of our kids feel so good and safe and love you as one of someone in their own family.
And not only that, just another good thing. Your influence, your reputation, your goodness, everything about you goes beyond the school. You're a linchpin in the school. But I do the food truck at Cast. You are legendary down there. They all know you, they love you, and they know that they can come to you, anybody, people who work there, people who come there, because of the kindness and goodness in your heart. And you're my friend.
Nurse Mary, I think I was the only one that's ever been in your office as a student.
I think you're right. I know, I have police officers that were my kids. Everywhere I go, there are people who were kids under me, which is great.
You get better with age. You were great when I was there, but now you get a lot harder, and you're still just as calm as my 3 boys. So you're amazing here, both as a parent, as a board member, and as a professional dealing with you in very stressful situations. Your calm demeanor is super impressive. We don't deal with the easiest things sometimes. Having you there makes everybody at ease. So
thank you.
Great job.
I'm just mad that Mark left and now, you know.
He might have had something to say.
Maybe watch it on Channel 22 because we need to get some points. Just suddenly. Congratulations, Mary.
Wait, I just want to point out, she can run really fast. Anytime there is a
Thankfully,
insert on the playground, she's never that bad.
I'm getting slower. I'm getting slower. But he said he pushed me around in a wheelchair.
Oh my gosh. All right.
Thanks, guys.
Congrats. Okay, moving on to item 11. I need a motion to approve and or accept the recommendations of the superintendent on the following personnel action 11.1.
So moved.
Second. Ooh, everybody wants to second. So moved. Margaret and Kate. Any discussion?
Okay. Myself on this vote.
Okay. You'll have that. I'll give you that. Fine. Very professional.
All right,
Yes.
so as many of you know, very recently we started our music educator search for next year. We were very pleased with the competitiveness of that pool of candidates, and I will say the cream always rises to the top, and it certainly did in this case. We couldn't be more thrilled to have Katie Springer return to our school. She was here a while back in a different capacity. Well, we are thrilled for her to be here. Her passion for the musical arts and for teaching that and conveying that to students was evident throughout the interviews, in the demo lessons. It was just evident all over the place, and we really knew that we were in good hands with where we were going in the future. So we're very excited for Katie to come back and join our staff and where our musical performances are going to go from here. I think we've seen the love of band grow, we're going to see the love of chorus grow too. So we are more than thrilled to have Katie
And the
back.
Tonys were last night.
Yes. And I didn't bring the piano in so she could play again, but she played beautifully. It was unbelievable. But thank you, Katie.
Thank you.
We really appreciate you coming back and serving us.
Katie, I just wanted to add that I am super excited, professionally and personally, to have you here. I think you're the perfect fit for our school. I think we need just you in that position. I think you are the person made for that job. And
Thank you.
I really am just so excited to have you, and I think our kids will really be lucky to have you in that program. And I'm just ecstatic you're here, and I think you're just going to be amazing. So
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you for the I have to say, like Mr. Williams said, music is a lot of the same. We don't just sit and listen to music. You make music, and sometimes it's really going to stink. But that's the artistic process. So I'm happy to be here, and Lauren and Mrs. Farkas and I already have a working relationship, so I can't imagine the transition being a problem.
Great. Yes, Mr. Williams.
I just want to echo something. First of all, congratulations
Thank
and
you.
welcome to the family.
Thank you.
But when Mr. Brace was here, we always had the conversation every year about how I thought he had, now you have the hardest job in the building. When my students mess up on a PCR reaction, I sit there and say, it was the reagents, it was this, it was that. You hear the results every single time of what's going on. So
And sometimes it's in front of other people.
Oh yes, it's very, very difficult. So
Real time.
good luck with all that, but congratulations.
Katie, I echo everything everyone said so far. We've forged a relationship outside of here in a couple of different ways. I've loved working with you, and I think you're going to be a perfect fit. And like Mr. Williams said, welcome to the family.
Thank you. I'm excited to get started.
Good.
And Katie, just the one thing, we worked together in 2007 or 2008. I was a real estate agent and Katie was an AA who ran that office like whatever. And I had a lot of time because I wasn't a very good real estate agent.
She was such a good buddy, though.
But I always used to say to Katie, you need to be a teacher. You have to be a teacher. You should be a teacher. And thank you for being a teacher.
Thank you for
and thank you for coming here.
And thank you for all that you did. Margaret is my mentor. I say it all the time.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any recusals? Raise your hand.
Give me a devil eye.
Motion carries. remaining personnel, I need a motion to approve and or accept the recommendations of the superintendent on the following personnel actions, 11.2 through 11.7.
So moved.
Thank you, Margaret, and
No,
thank you,
Tracy.
thank you, Tracy. Thank you, Anthony.
Mhm.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Any recusals? Motion carries. On to program, I need a motion to approve and or accept the recommendations of the superintendent on the following program actions, 12.1 through 12.5. So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Kate. Thank you, Margaret. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Any recusals? Motion carries. Item 13 is finance. I need a motion to approve and or accept the recommendations of the superintendent on the following finance actions, 13.1 through 13.4.
So moved.
Thank you, Tracy.
Second.
Thank you, Kate. Any discussion?
Do we want to acknowledge the donation of ice cream?
Oh, I was looking right up at the top.
13.3.
Thank you, PTSA. That's amazing. Is it Mr. Soft?
That was today.
Pretty good, pretty good.
Why didn't you?
Good reviews from the kids.
Why didn't you?
Oh, yeah.
How was your day? We got
Please, from this one, she's a lot older.
What's better than that?
Well, it was the afternoon.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Any recusals? Motion carries. Business? I need a motion to approve and or accept the recommendations of the superintendent on the following business actions, 14.1 through 14.2.
So moved.
Thank you, Margaret. Thank you, Karina. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Any recusals? Motion carries. Facility, I need a motion to approve and or accept the recommendations of the superintendent on the following facility action, 15.1.
So moved. Second.
Thank you, Tracy. Thank you, Margaret. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any recusals? Motion carries. Items for consideration, so if everyone can take a look at these dates. I know now is not necessary, except Kate.
I thought we were talking about moving them to a different day of the week, no? Did that not get discussed?
A different day of the week?
Jackie, didn't you ask?
We were thinking about that.
But that's not.
But we've held off for
Okay.
now, yeah.
Okay, so everyone take a look
No,
at
these
this.
are better for me.
Stand out. The Wednesday is better?
No,
The Monday is
the
better?
Mondays.
Okay. Old business, we have none. Mr. Galusha, Director of Athletics, Physical Education, Health, Wellness, and Personnel Report.
Thank you. So congratulations to all our spring teams. We wrapped up at the end of last month. They did a great job wrapping up the year. We hosted a senior day barbecue for baseball and softball following their final home contest out beyond the center field fence. And thank you, I know Brian and Kathy are out there as well as others. Thank you to everyone who pitched in on that. It was pretty popular. Thank you to the Shelter Island PBA for providing a tremendous bike day for our elementary students. That was held last week, and the kids had a lot of fun out there. It was probably the most beautiful bike day, weather-wise, we've had in quite some time. So it was really, really nice, and the kids always seem to enjoy that. I know the older kids got those, they're going to be very well hydrated bicyclists around here. They got the water bottle holders. They're very, very happy. Congratulations to the physical education staff on a tremendous elementary field day that was held on Friday. The student council held a secondary field day on the same day. That was wonderful. And thank you to the cafeteria staff. We had a great barbecue lunch with everyone, similar to what we had as a day of gratitude. We're looking forward to our athletic awards ceremony on Tuesday, June 17th at 5 p.m. in the gymnasium. You can come check out the awards and then come in this conference room to vote. The 6th and 7th grade field trip to Urban Air is on Friday, June 20th, and the 6th and 7th 3K to the beach day is on Monday, June 23rd. So a lot of fun activities coming up for the youngsters. Next year's athletic schedules are out for fall. They'll be finalized with the exception of golf on Friday. Fall sports do start on Monday, August the 25th for grades 9 through 12, and 7th and 8th grade will start after school starts. And in some exciting news, Section 11 is transitioning to a new web service and scheduling software which will acclimate families once that's up and running. But one of the key features of that is you can subscribe to a calendar that will link to your phone.
Nice.
And then if a game gets changed, you do not have to wait for the email. It will send you an alert as long as you opt into that. So once that's all up and running, we'll acclimate everyone to the new system moving forward. And that is my report.
Thank you so much. Mrs. Rylaw is not here for Assistant Superintendent report. Dr. Dolger, what do you got?
I first wanted to just wish Deb a farewell. Just like Nurse Mary, she's one of the people in the school that I rely upon for counsel upon almost everything. And you've been such a tremendous person here, Deb, but also a wonderful friend. And I'm just gonna miss you a lot, as I said, professionally, but definitely on a personal level, Deb. I'm gonna miss the jokes and all that you do. Thank you, Debbie. I also wanted to bid farewell to Kate in her last meeting here. I wanted to say, Kate, you've brought so much to this board, and I just have, I don't know why I'm giving I respect you so much professionally with all you do professional as a board member, all you do for the school, and also as a mom. You just do so much, and your friendship over the past 6 years, I appreciate it very much. So we'll miss you too. Okay.
Just waiting.
So I'm going to give a quick guidance report, very quick, I promise, because Ms. Pryor was not able to be here. But usually at the last board meeting, the guidance counselor will give a report. I'll make it brief because I know we've all been here a while. Our seniors are not suffering from senioritis. Their third quarter GPA was 92.63 as a class. That's pretty good for seniors. When I read that number, I was like, wow, okay, that's really great. And then it made me think also to the field day outside. What other high school are you going to have senior kids at a field day? 9th period on a Friday, playing so hard there. It's really, they're a special group of kids, and the school's special for that. Next year, we have students attending the University of Notre Dame, Penn State University, Stony Brook University, University of Arizona, Adelphi University, Quinnipiac University, the University of Tampa, and Suffolk County Community College. So our kids are going to some top-notch schools there. Half of our students are receiving diplomas with advanced designation. A standard Regents diploma is 5 Regents exams and 22 credits in various high school subjects, and advanced is 8 Regents with an additional 5-unit sequence in art or CTE or a world language. So half of our kids took the advanced, which again puts us above other schools, other districts. All of our seniors took at least one AP course. Most of them took multiple AP courses. Just to go through some of our entrance exam results for our senior class. For the SAT reading and writing portion, the national average is 519. Our students, Shelter Island students, graduates, scored 607, so about 100 points higher than the national average. On the SAT for math, the national average is 505, and our Shelter Island students' average is 608, so over 100 points higher on the SAT. The ACT, the national average is at 20.2. Our students scored significantly higher, 25.85 was the average score for our seniors on their ACT exams. That's about 25% higher than the national average, which is great stuff. So that's the guidance report. Back to my superintendent hat. With Deb leaving, Mary Ann has been named as the new district treasurer. She'll begin there on July 1. Marian Impastato, who is currently the #2 person in the business office, she's moving up to the #1 level. And we've also hired Mallory Clark, who is a parent here, a graduate here, to work in the business office as well. Deb, Marianne, and Mallory have been transitioning over this past month of June, and they're doing a lot of work. I'm sure we're going to need Debbie's expertise going on in the future whenever there's questions that come up. As I said, we're so excited to have Katie on board, and at our last meeting we hired Avery Zumpel in science, so our staffing is going well. Just a couple things I've been at. Ms. Mahoney left, but I was at the Book Craft Club Authors Reception. That's one of the highlights of my year. Every year I love going to that thing. They make the coolest drink with the sherbet, and it's just like a nice thing at the end of the year. Thanks to the PTSA for the book fair as well, and for Mr. Softy today. Thanks to the police officers for DARE. The DARE graduation was really nice as well. Field day, as Todd said, both secondary and elementary was just wonderful. Some things upcoming. Tomorrow is our multicultural night. It's supposed to be outside. If it's raining, it's going to be in the gym and like in this hallway in here. So either way, no matter whether it's going on. This week, Wednesday, Thursday, we begin our regents. Our geometry is Wednesday, earth science on Thursday. Monday, a week from today, the kids are very upset, is the last day of classes for grades 8 through 12. We have our academic awards on that day as well. Then we have regents after that. Athletic awards, as Todd said, are June 17th. And then, if you happen to vote afterwards, that would be great. We have our Beach Day K-5 on June 18th. Our Academic Wall of Fame and Scholarship Night on June 18th. There's no school June 19th. That's a state holiday. All schools are closed. So that's a Thursday. Then that Friday is our graduation, our commencement exercises here. June 24th, last day of school for pre-K. And then June 25th, we have a K-5 roller skating trip, or pre-K-4 moving up. June 26th is the 5th grade moving up, and then the 27th is our last day of school. And that's
what else
all
are you
I
doing?
have.
Thank you, Dr. Dolger. Board member reports, I'm going to start because I'm going to look at Kate. I know, for real. For real. Let's okay. I want to take a moment and say thank you and highlight the trustee to my left, Kate Rossi Snook. Tonight is her last formal meeting as a Shelter Island School Board member. Kate won her seat 6 years ago and has proven to be a passionate, formidable, educated, and dedicated trustee. Never unprepared, Kate approached every challenge from every angle, never forgetting the humans, big and little, that her decisions would affect. Her commitment to the environment and her work at Cornell thankfully spilled over onto the district, and she's been able to offer more than a few programs, not to mention mentorship to our students. She's put in many, many volunteer hours here as a board member, not to mention judge for our annual science fair. She also trained her dog to walk right next to her down busy highways with no leash, which is amazing. And she keeps a really tight Little League book, just ask her. She's been the perfect VP and my very own consigliere, and I couldn't appreciate you more for that. I'm gonna cry. Kate, you will be sorely missed. Your tenacity, your deep caring, your occasional cursing on a hot mic. A couple of times. We've been proud to work alongside you. We've been privileged to learn from you. And we are blessed to call you our friend. You are a varsity player, and in honor of your service, and with the help of Mr. Galuccio, we would like to present you this gift. Open it up. I feel like I've never given a better gift.
Oh my God, I'm going to rock this. I love it so much. Oh my God.
That's really great. Thank you for your service. Thank you. That's all I have. Who can follow that? Margaret?
I just want to say congratulations. Thank you very much. I knew never going to be out of our hearts.
No, I'm not going anywhere.
I'm going to also say thank you. And I've just been amazed by everything that you have done and brought to the school, and you speak your mind and you are not afraid to do it. And it's, in the beginning, it was a little, maybe, whatever. Maybe there's some other people that are like that as well. But I really respect you as a person and a board member and as a professional. And I really enjoyed getting to know you and working with you. So thank you.
I don't want anyone to feel on the spot with you guys. I have to say
You want to get away with it.
I don't know what I can add to that hasn't already been said, but I mean, I agree with everything everybody who said. Your passion and your passion for making the school a better place for all of the students, your passion for science and bringing it here and encouraging science to our students and in the community. It's so admirable, and you were just such a treasure to have on this board and such a great resource, and just a wonderful person with great insight.
Carl. I just want to say that you're someone I look up to. But it's simple like that. It's very special. Thank you.
Yeah, we're gonna miss you. I think when you first mentioned that you were going to be stepping down, you said hopefully this will allow you some more time to focus on some of the things you're more passionate about and also work with the school in a different capacity. Maybe it's just holding you back in some way. So we're looking forward to all those opportunities. Thanks for everything.
If you want. It actually didn't even cross my mind that this was my last meeting, so I was just going to talk about the Seahorse Hotel. That's super awesome. Cover of Dan's paper. Molly, Brian, Julie, you guys were all there. Had a great turnout of mostly the middle school kids. I think we had 7 kids show up, and it was exactly how I envisioned it. I guess the reason I am able to want to and am able to bring these free programs to the school is I know that I will get honest feedback from these kids because I know them. And I can say like, okay, what didn't work? What do I need? And I literally have a list from this workshop of like what I need to do and have available for when we like essentially go public with these bigger similar events, our major, fundraising sites, so I know that I'll be able to do it right then. And, it was just great, and some of these kids were so creative. We have a seahorse pirate ship that was constructed, and a seahorse jungle gym, and the third one was never named, but it was equally as creative, and we're genuinely excited to get that into the field, and I've had them like just at display outside at our Southwold facility, and it's very fun when my other colleagues not directly involved have been like, oh, it's so cool. So very proud, and thank you all. I really I fully intended to stay on for longer, but yes, I do have a lot going on. It's hard when you wear so many hats in a community, so I'm still going to be involved, but I no doubt know that you guys have it on lockdown. I've been really appreciative of working with each of you, and I think everyone offers something really valuable insight. So that's it, I guess. Thank you.
Okay, I need a motion to adjourn.
Is there one?
Are there any more visitors? Katie says yes. The third page is not waving me in, so are we good? For real, actually.